Metaphysics is the branch of philosophy that deals with the big questions about the nature of reality. It delves into what it means to exist, the fundamental properties of reality, and how all the pieces fit together. The term metaphysics itself comes from ancient Greece. It literally means after physics because it was placed after the physics books in a collection of Aristotle's writings. However, the subject matter goes beyond the physical world. It tackles questions like, what is the nature of existence? What is the relationship between mind and matter? Is there free will? Does time exist independently of our perception of it? These are heady questions that have been pondered by philosophers for millennia. Epistemology is the branch of philosophy concerned specifically with knowledge. Unlike metaphysics, which deals with the nature of reality, epistemology focuses on how we come to know things and what it means to truly know something. Epistemologists delve into questions like, what is knowledge? How do we acquire knowledge? What are the limitations of our knowledge? They debate the nature of justification. What makes a belief true or justified? A core aspect of epistemology is differentiating between knowledge and simple belief. We can believe many things, but knowledge requires justification and evidence. There are various schools of thought within epistemology. Some emphasize reason and logic as the foundation of knowledge, while others highlight the role of experience and sense perception. Epistemology is relevant to many disciplines beyond philosophy. It plays a role in fields like history, which grapples with the question of how we know about the past, and law, which relies on evidence and justification to determine guilt or innocence. Theology is the study of religious belief, specifically from a religious perspective. At its core, theology is concerned with understanding the nature of the divine, often referred to as God or gods depending on the religion. It explores questions about God's existence, attributes, and relationship with humanity and the world. Theology differs from the philosophy of religion. Philosophy uses reason and logic to examine religious claims, while theology accepts the basic tenets of a faith and seeks to understand them more deeply. Theology is a recognized academic discipline taught in universities and seminaries. It delves into religious history, ethics, and social issues alongside the core study of the divine. Aesthetics takes center stage as the study of beauty, art, and taste. Philosophers delve into the essence of beauty. Is it an objective quality inherent in certain objects, or is it subjective, shaped by individual experiences and preferences? They debate what makes something beautiful and if there are universal standards of beauty across cultures. Aesthetics asks what defines art? What separates an artistic creation from a regular object? It explores the purpose and value of art. Does art simply aim to please, or does it have a deeper function to provoke thought, evoke emotions, or challenge societal norms? Logic occupies a central role as the study of valid reasoning and sound argument. It equips us with the tools to differentiate between strong and weak arguments, identify fallacies, and navigate the complexities of philosophical thought. Logic is concerned with the principles of valid reasoning. A valid argument is one where the conclusion necessarily follows from the premises, even if the premises themselves are false. For instance, all men are mortal. Socrates is a man. Therefore, Socrates is mortal is a valid argument. Logic can be broadly categorized into formal logic and informal logic. Formal logic deals with the structure of arguments, focusing on the form rather than the content. It employs symbolic systems to analyze the relationships between propositions. Informal logic, on the other hand, delves into everyday reasoning, helping us identify fallacies in arguments and strengthen our own reasoning. Ethics, also known as moral philosophy, is all about figuring out what constitutes good and bad behavior, right and wrong actions. It delves into the core principles that should guide our choices and examines how we ought to live. Ethics tackles profound questions that have been pondered by philosophers for millennia. Some key questions include, what is the foundation of morality? Is it based on objective principles, or is it relative to culture and circumstance? What makes an action morally right or wrong? Do the consequences matter most? Or is there an inherent rightness or wrongness to actions themselves? What does it mean to live a good life? What virtues should we cultivate? Political philosophy dives deep into the fundamental questions about how we should organize ourselves as a society. It's essentially thinking critically about the ideal structure of government, the rights and obligations of citizens, and the distribution of power. Political philosophers grapple with big questions like, what is the purpose of government? Should it prioritize order, liberty, justice, or some combination? What form of government is best? Democracy, monarchy, aristocracy, or something else entirely? What rights should citizens have? Freedom of speech, religion, assembly? What about property rights or economic rights? What is the relationship between the individual and the state? To what extent should the government regulate our lives? Throughout history, various political philosophies have emerged, each offering a distinct perspective on how to answer these core questions. Some of the major schools of thought include liberalism, emphasizes individual liberty, consent of the governed, and limited government. Conservatism values tradition, social order, and gradual change. Socialism advocates for social justice, public ownership of means of production, and economic equality. Anarchism rejects the need for government altogether or proposes a society with minimal hierarchical structures. Political philosophy is closely linked to ethics. Considerations of justice, fairness, and rights are central to both disciplines. Political philosophy provides the foundation for our modern political systems and continues to influence political debates. Understanding these different theories allows us to engage in informed discussions about issues like taxation, social welfare, and the role of government in our lives. Political philosophers have also pondered the nature of power, the legitimacy of different forms of government, and the ideal characteristics of a leader throughout history. Thinkers like Plato, Aristotle, John Locke, and Karl Marx have all significantly shaped our understanding of politics. Identity is about determining whether two things are truly one and the same. There are two main areas philosophers explore concerning identity: numerical identity and personal identity. Numerical identity is the stricter notion, concerned with whether two things are genuinely the same individual entity. Imagine two identical bicycles in a race. Philosophers might ask if they are just qualitatively the same kind of bicycle, or numerically the same, one and the same bicycle. Personal identity delves into the question of what makes a person the same person over time. We change throughout our lives. So what makes us fundamentally the same person from childhood to adulthood? Ontology is the branch of metaphysics that deals with the fundamental nature of existence and what things are. It asks big questions like, what types of entities exist, substances, properties, relations, etc.? How are these entities categorized? How do these entities relate to each other? Think of it as a grand filing system for all of reality, trying to understand the most basic building blocks and how they fit together. Mereology is a branch of metaphysics, which focuses on the relationship between parts and wholes, also known as parthood relations. It asks questions like, what does it mean for something to be a part of something else? Are there different types of part-whole relationships? How do the properties of the parts relate to the properties of the whole? Imagine a car. The engine, wheels, and seats are all parts of the car, but in different ways. The engine is a proper part, meaning the car wouldn't exist without it. The wheels, on the other hand, are detachable parts. The car could still function, though not very well, without them. Mereology tries to understand these distinctions and the various ways things can be parts of wholes. This field of study has roots in ancient philosophy and has applications in areas like logic, set theory, and even computer science for understanding how complex systems are built from smaller components. Metaethics is a branch of ethics that dives deep into the foundation and nature of morality itself, rather than focusing on what is right or wrong. It's like examining the rulebook of ethics instead of following the rules themselves. It asks questions about the meaning of moral terms like good, bad, right, and wrong. It explores where moral values come from and whether there's an objective basis for morality or if it's all relative. Normative ethics is the branch of ethics that dives into what we should morally do. Unlike descriptive ethics, which observes how people make moral decisions, normative ethics prescribes what the ought is. It provides frameworks to guide our moral decision-making. There are various theories within normative ethics, each offering a different approach to moral problems. Consequentialism emphasizes the outcomes of actions, deontology focuses on following moral rules, and virtue ethics highlights developing good character traits. By understanding these different perspectives, normative ethics equips us to navigate complex moral dilemmas and make sound ethical decisions. Applied ethics tackles specific moral dilemmas that arise in various professional fields and areas of life. Unlike normative ethics, which focuses on broad moral principles, applied ethics dives into the nitty-gritty of moral issues in contexts like medicine, business, engineering, or the environment. Here's how it works. Imagine an engineer designing a new self-driving car. Applied ethics would ask questions about the car's safety features, its potential impact on traffic and jobs, and how to handle situations where accidents are unavoidable. In medicine, applied ethics might grapple with issues like patient confidentiality, resource allocation, or the ethics of genetic engineering. By providing frameworks for reasoning through these complex scenarios, applied ethics helps professionals make morally sound decisions within their specific fields. Art, at its core, is a form of human expression that uses creativity and imagination. It's a way for people to convey ideas, emotions, and experiences. While creativity is central, artistic expression often involves some level of technical skill or proficiency. The concept of beauty is often associated with art, but it can also challenge traditional aesthetics. Art is meant to evoke feelings and reactions in viewers or listeners. It can inspire, comfort, provoke thought, or simply be aesthetically pleasing. The definition of art has evolved throughout history. What is considered art can be challenged by new movements and ideas. The meaning of life is a classic philosophical question with no single, universally accepted answer. Some of the main approaches philosophies that are supernaturalism, which suggests there's a higher power or God who has a purpose for us. Objective naturalism, that argues there's an objective purpose built into the universe, independent of human perception. Subjective naturalism, this view suggests life doesn't have inherent meaning. Instead, we create our own meaning through our values, relationships, and goals. Nihilism, this isn't a theory of meaning, but rather the denial of it. Nihilists believe life has no inherent or objective meaning, and some might find freedom in this absurdity. Ultimately, the meaning of life is a question each individual grapples with. Philosophical ideas can offer frameworks and perspectives to help you on this personal journey.